Let's talk some McCorkle here. Very interesting player. Obviously, I think there's some narratives about Jones that I do find fascinating, and kind of wanted to just look at some numbers and see how true they are and how untrue they are. So without further ado, let's get into exactly what it is that I am talking about. So for example, right here, first I gotta just let you know what exactly it is that you're looking at. This first chart is going to be measuring how well he does at throwing the ball X yards down the field. And X is either 20 plus yards down the field, 10 to 19 yards down the field, or 0 to 9 yards down the field. That's what you see all the way to the left. And then each column here is going to be where he ranked in each category. So for PFF, that is PFF grade, he was 16th best at 20 plus yards down the field throws in PFF grade. 28th in terms of passer rating, 14th in terms of big time throw percentage, and 25th in terms of turnover worthy play percentage. So that's what all those numbers are. And just to be clear about turnover worthy play percentage, you want the number closer to 1. That's 25th best at protecting the football. That's what that is. SS at the end, that is simply just sample size. So one thing notable, I think, with just that top row here at the 20 plus yards down the field is how the passer rating was not spectacular, but it seemed like the other numbers were better. Now, he put the ball in harm's way too much, and that's probably part of why the passer rating wasn't very good. So interesting, that is an area he can improve upon. But according to PFF grade, which I think is a good measurement for, like, I compare it to a batting average. It's a good measurement of kind of just figuring out how consistent he can be at some of this stuff. He was pretty consistent at it. So this tells me to some degree an element of why they struggled at some of these plays was not necessarily a Jones problem, it was the team around him problem, because you have that jump of 16th best at PFF but 28th best at passer rating. Typically I think that passer rating can be a bit of a fluky stat. It's more, it's a great stat to measure results, right? But sometimes you play well and the results don't match that. Although over a big enough sample size, it's still a good stat. But anyways, 10 to 19, you do see that there are some, slightly better numbers. It's not a massive jump in most of these categories, from 16th to 17th best PFF grade. Passer rating does jump to 16th, but maybe that's just talent around Jones thing as opposed to Jones himself. Big time throw percentage only one off as well, and then turnover worthy play percentage has a massive difference. So does a much better job at protecting the football. He actually does a below average job at protecting the football everywhere else, but in this section, which is, where a lot of games are won and lost, he does a good job of taking care of the football there. So that's certainly something very fascinating. In the 0 to 9 range, you have really good PFF grade, 7th best, 25th best passer rating though. So the actual results were at their best when he was throwing in at 10 to 19 range, even though he was at his best getting rid of the football quickly. Now, big time throw percentage says 5th, but he was in like a 32-way tie for 5th place, just because he had 0. Most guys have 0 with big time throw percentage in that range. It's hard to get a big time throw there. There were only 4 big time throws last year, so he is tied for 5th with 0. Turnover worthy play percentage 25th though, so could protect the football a little bit better. That one's somewhat similar, where there are not as many turnover-worthy plays there as there are in other places. Could be a little bit fluky, but there's more than 4, so I don't put the asterisk next to it. But yeah, as a whole, with someone like Mac Jones, I think it's fascinating. I think people say, oh, he's just a check down Charlie or whatever you want to call him. There's some truth to that. He is good at these checkdowns. I don't know if I would consider that as much of an insult as others would, but there is some truth to that. Although he still performs very well. Really across the board. I think that these are solid numbers across the board. Could just, could take care of the football a little bit better, specifically on that 20 plus yards down the field range. But maybe part of that is just who he's going up against, or who's more specifically who he's playing with. It might be more of a team thing around him. This stat is interesting. So his under pressure versus kept clean statistics are fascinating to me. You do see that in most of these in most of these categories, he actually does a better job when he's under pressure, again, relative to the rest of the league, because everyone does better when they're kept clean as opposed to under pressure, but, again, relative to the rest of the league, 8th best PFF grade under pressure, whereas 16th best when he's kept clean. So those who said he was only a product of his offensive line, no, he actually, in part, is helping out his offensive line and doing the right thing when he is under pressure. Passer rating is better when he's under pressure versus kept clean. Big time throw percentage is not, though. That's the one area where there is a pretty massive difference when he's kept clean versus under pressure. Does not get many splash plays under pressure. So he does the right thing a lot, but isn't going to hit a lot of home runs in those scenarios. He's going to get a lot of, again, the comparison I make, he'll put the ball in play a lot in that situation is kind of the way that I would view it. Whereas he does do a pretty good job, actually, of getting those big-time throws when he's kept clean. 11th best in football. That is good. Turnover-worthy play percentage, again, very good when he's under pressure. He was legitimately good under pressure, so that's fascinating. Whereas when he was kept clean, it's still above average, so like still quality. But he was actually, his performance under pressure was a big benefit to him, which is fascinating to me because again, typically you view rookies as guys who struggle when they're under pressure right away. Well, not with Jones, which is part of why he was able to have such a good rookie season. Also going over to like play action versus no play action stuff, I think you might think, oh, okay, well, he was very good with play action. Well, no, he was actually better when there was no play action in terms of his numbers. Now, because again, like PFF grade, he was the 24th best quarterback when running play action, but 8th best quarterback when he wasn't running play action, according to PFF grade, which again, the way I view that is it's very much, are you doing the right thing? And for Jones, he did the right thing a lot when he wasn't running play action, actually below average when he did run play action. Passer rating, though, almost identical, so the team success was about the same. So I'm not saying they shouldn't run play action because, again, you were able to be just about as good of it as anyone else, 21st and 20th, respectively. Big time throw percentage, he basically had no big time throws when he was running play action. He did the right thing, but was not going to get some splash plays. But again, was top 10 with big time throws when he didn't run play action. And the turnover worthy play percentage stuff is interesting. He was below average at turnover worthy plays when he ran play action, but was third best in football when he didn't. So Mac Jones, his numbers were very good when he did not run play action. Not so good when he did run play action. And that's something that I don't think I would have expected because you think about how play action heavy this Patriots offense is. And then finally, right here, you have his splits when he got rid of football more quickly versus less quickly. So you see that, PFF grade a little bit better when he got rid of football quickly, under 2.5 seconds. Passer rating was significantly better, which checks out given that scheme. Big time throw percentage, again, significantly better when he got rid of football quickly, which is interesting. And then turnover-worthy play percentage, about the same. So he was at his best, it seems like, when there was no play action, but he could just get rid of football quickly. Those little short stuff, that's what he thrived at. Which I think we knew, right? I think that that's something we already knew, is that that's what Jones was very good at, is kind of getting rid of football quickly and things of that nature. And this just kind of backs it up. So sometimes that's what happens with these videos, is we don't necessarily learn more about a player, but we kind of can reaffirm what we had suspected when you make something like this, which I think is very fascinating with someone like Jones. The one thing that surprised me, though, was definitely the play action data. I was very surprised to learn that he was much better when he's not running play action. So again, he's someone who you can take off the leash a little bit. You can let him play because he can make stuff happen, and I think the play action data showed that. Although again, play actions were still a good part of the Patriots offense, so it works both ways. But that's what I think. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.